Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Jaimy, and if you're new here or if you've been here before, either way, welcome and thanks so much for joining me for a new video. Before we start, I thought it would be fun if I show you a behind the scenes of how I make my YouTube videos. This is my tripod for now, guys. I ordered one because it will make my life easier, but for now, this totally works. I just put my phone in front of here, and yeah, it's just a reminder that if you have a passion, just don't overthink it. All you gotta do is just start. This is my window view. I'm so grateful to live so close to the beach. I mean, not a bad place to live, right? I just got vaccinated with my first Pfizer shot this morning, and I feel really grateful because this is going to be one step closer to seeing my loved ones back in the Netherlands. And then I also got myself a kombucha. This one is with apple and rhubarb. I actually never had a kombucha before coming to Australia, but it's really popular over here. It's a sweet sour drink made with tea. I'm not sure if you had one before, and there are so many different flavors. It's so good. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted over there, but let's get in today's topic, because in this video I want to talk about how to prepare your move to Australia in 10 steps. And this is just sharing my experience with you guys, so it can be different for everyone. But if you're looking into going to Australia, then I really hope this can be helpful for you. So in 2018, my partner and I decided to quit our job. We booked a one-way flight and we moved to Australia. And this actually all happened in 6 months, and we didn't do really a lot of research into what we could expect of settling in Australia. But if I look back on it, it would be great if I knew a couple things. So step one is to do your research, and especially right now with the whole COVID situation, this is really important. Unfortunately, international borders are still closed. Fingers crossed things will get better and they will open soon, but it's really important to look up the government requirements. Besides that, I think you don't need to have the answers for everything, but at least it will feel good to have a little bit of a direction. And of course, this can always change, but it will be good to know for how long you want to stay. Are you planning to stay for a year or maybe only a couple months? In which city do you want to arrive? It's really common to arrive in Sydney, but maybe you want to start in another city. And what is your goal? Do you want to travel in Australia? Do you want to work and stay in one place, or maybe you want to come for an internship or a study? For us, we were planning to stay for 1 year, to work and live in one place for the first 6 months, and then for the other 6 months to travel through Australia. We knew as well we wanted to come to Sydney because Roberto, my partner, already found a job over here. If you're planning to come to Sydney as well, you can check out my other video where I talk about 10 things that I love about Sydney. In the end, our plans changed because after working in Sydney for 6 months, Roberto got offered a sponsorship, and we were so happy with this opportunity because it allowed us to stay for another 2 years. So the travel had to wait, but for us this was totally worth it. So plans can change, but as I said before, by doing your research, at least it feels really good to have a little bit of a direction. So step number 2 is to apply for a visa, and I'm not going to talk about every visa right now. I might do that in another video, but the main place where you can find all the information is the Home Affairs. So I will leave the link down below so you can do your own research. The time between applying for a visa and that your visa will be granted can take a day, weeks, or it can even take months. So it's really important to start the visa process rather sooner than later. Also keep in mind you might need extra requirements after applying for the visa. For example, I needed to do a medical test because I filled in I wanted to work with children and they want to avoid the risk of tuberculosis. So that's why I needed to do a medical test. So Roberto's working holiday visa actually got approved in 1 day, and because I had to do a medical test, it took a couple months. So it's definitely important to keep that in mind. So the next step is to book your flight. We actually did it the other way around. We booked our flight first and then we applied for a visa. But to avoid any risks, it's probably better to wait for your visa approval first. The sooner you book, the better. Keep in mind that it's winter in Australia from June until August. So during this period, usually the flights are a bit cheaper. I will put the links down below, but Skyscanner, Momondo and Google Flights are really good websites to find and compare flights. Outfit change. Now, when I was filming yesterday, I wasn't feeling really well after my vaccination, so I decided to stop filming, but I'm back now, so let's continue where we left off. And yeah, I just wanted to keep it real with you guys. So we were talking about booking your flight, and some ways to find cheap flights is try to be flexible with your travel dates and time, to not always fly direct, so find a flight with 1 stop or even more. Keep an eye out for special deals, and most of all, try to book as soon as possible. In the end, we managed to find a one-way flight through Skyscanner with Singapore Airlines, so from Amsterdam to Singapore to Sydney for €560 per person, so that was a pretty good deal. Of course, this was back in 2018, so a different time, and especially right now with the whole COVID situation. I'm not sure what's going to happen once they open international borders again. Are the flights going to be really expensive, or are they going to start with special deals? Let's hope for the last one. It's also good to check with your airline what the maximum weight is for your checked baggage. For example, with Singapore Airlines, this is 30 kilos. This might seem like not a lot, but I think this is really good because with 30 kilo, you will make sure to only bring the important stuff with you. I think for me, booking our flight was the most exciting thing because then you know there's no way back and you can finally look forward to your new adventure. The next step would be to find a place to stay, and to settle in easily, I would personally recommend to book an Airbnb, a hostel or hotel for at least the first 4 weeks. I will put some links down below so you can check out some websites for hostels and hotels. When you're traveling, you might not want to stay in one place for a long time, but I do recommend that you give yourself a bit of time to adjust and also to manage your jet lag, because from the Netherlands, it's depending on when you arrive in Australia, the time difference can be 8 or 10 hours. We stayed at an Airbnb place when we arrived with an Australian couple, and that was really nice because they made us feel really comfortable, but they also showed us around and told us a lot about Australia. I remembered when we arrived, I felt quite overwhelmed. It was also dark, so that was not really helping either. I was quite emotional because like throughout the process, you can really doubt yourself, like, did we make the right decision? Having those feelings is really normal. You just gotta remind yourself why you wanted to move to Australia in the first place. So after settling in, it's time to find a long-term accommodation. I'm not gonna talk about buying a house because Sydney is so expensive, so I'm just gonna talk about renting. I do recommend to find a long-term accommodation once you arrive in Australia instead of from your home country, because you want to make sure to do an inspection. So as with every city, the more you stay away from the city center, the more affordable the prices will be. I will put some links down below again where you can find some websites for renting, but the most popular place is flatmates.com. So after staying in an Airbnb place for the first 4 weeks, we found this place through flatmates.com as well. When we moved in, we lived with a German guy, and later on we took over the place, and since then we've been living with a lot of different flatmates. If you're planning to come to Sydney and you wonder where you should live in this city, then I would recommend near the beach, because that's the best way to experience the Australian lifestyle. The step would be to save money, and I get this question a lot, like how much money do I need to save before moving to Australia? Unfortunately, I don't really have the answer for this, as it can be really different for everyone. I know that the Australian government recommends you to save at least 5,000 Australian dollars. While this might seem high, remember that life in Australia is pretty expensive as well, and this will at least cover the first few weeks. Of course, there are a lot of ways to save money before you arrive in Australia. For example, try to sell a lot of stuff like clothes and furniture, cancel any subscriptions, like for example, I remember I had a gym membership. Of course, you can save money with going out and eating out as well, but I actually do recommend to spend as much as time with your friends as possible before you leave. I remember we were planning to go to a festival, Tomorrowland, with my best friends, and I was saying nah because I need to save the money for Australia. Looking back on it, I do regret it because it's so important to make those memories, because you might not see them for quite a while. Number 6 would be to find a job, and I remember that I spent a lot of time trying to find a job from the Netherlands, but I do know now that it's just better to find a job once you arrive in Australia. There is such a big time difference that it just works better to apply for a job once you are in the country. What you can do is do your research on what kind of jobs there are available. Again, I will put some links down below that can help you with your job search. It's also important to keep in mind that some of your qualifications might not be recognized here in Australia. For example, with me, I studied child psychology in the Netherlands, but my certificates were not recognized here in Australia. I was planning to look for a job in childcare, because in the Netherlands with a master degree in child psychology, it is possible to work in childcare. But then when I arrived in Australia, this was not possible. So in the beginning, I struggled a lot with finding a job. It was not possible to work in childcare because I needed another certificate for that. And in order to get it, I needed to do another study in Australia. After studying for 7 years, I just wanted to work in Sydney. So it's definitely important to do some research if your qualifications are recognized here in Australia. I might tell more about this in another video, but basically after that, I found a job as a behavior therapist. So I've been working in Sydney as a behavior therapist for 2 years, but actually last year I decided to quit my job to pursue other passions that I have, and I now work full-time as a content creator. The next Next step is to organize your health insurance. Not the most exciting part, but so important. I actually kept my health insurance from the Netherlands when I arrived in Australia, and actually that's okay, because that way you can still get Medicare, and that's a health provider here in Australia. But it is important to get an overseas health insurance because, for example, I've been struggling for quite a while with some back pain. So I had a lot of appointments with GPs and physiotherapists. So to avoid any situations like that, it's really good to get that organized rather sooner than later. Besides that, it's of course really important to open a bank account as well once you arrive in Australia. But I have to say this is really easy and you can do this in a day. And the Commonwealth Bank is really popular for people from overseas. Step number 8 is a quick and easy one, and that is to make copies of all your important documents. So think about your passport, your driving license, and trust me, this will be really helpful. Step number 9 is to throw a hello goodbye party. And I know that I said before that booking a flight is really exciting, but actually this step is the most exciting of all. You're about to start an amazing adventure, so of course you have to celebrate and invite all your friends and family. We just kept it simple and we had drinks and a barbecue in the garden. I remember I had mixed feelings because of course I felt sad to leave everyone behind, but I also felt really excited for our new adventure. And the last step is a quick one as well, but really easy to forget, and that is to just have fun. Have fun throughout the process because you're about to have the best time of your life. So those were my 10 steps how to prepare your move to Australia. If you have any questions or tips, please put them in the comments down below, as I would love to hear them. If you watched through the whole video, thanks so much. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. I think I already have 20 subscribers and I'm just celebrating the small wins. I'm so grateful for all of you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!